everybody and welcome back to the FPL Family YouTube channel. Today I'm going to give you my top picks for Game Week 2. Now these players are the defender, the midfielder and the forward who I think will return the most FPL points for their managers in Game Week 2. Now we are going to start as always with the defender, work our way through to the forward. Now the defender I've picked probably won't come as a surprise to anybody because he is the most expensive defender in the game. And that is Liverpool's Trent Alexander-Arnold. 7.5 million of your FPL pounds is going to be need to spend to acquire Trent Alexander-Arnold in your FPL teams. But looking at the fixtures over the next few weeks, and in particular the fixture that they have this weekend, I think Trent is worth every single penny. Liverpool, we watched them live during Game Week 1. They were very solid defensively. The return of Van Dijk made such a difference to that Liverpool defensive unit. They were working together. They were solid. They were dealing with every problem that Norwich created, apart from one towards the end, which required an excellent Alisson save. But even then, the defence was secure and it was tight and they got the ball away from that parry from Alisson. When we have a little look at Trent himself, since his debut for Liverpool in the 16-17 season, he has averaged 5.7 points per game when playing at home against non-Big Six clubs. Obviously this weekend, playing at home against Burnley, who are a non-Big Six club. So we should be looking somewhere in the region of that 5.7 point bracket, which would be ideal, suggesting that the clean sheet is likely to be on the cards. But Trent obviously has some additional upside to his game. He's on set pieces, takes corners for Liverpool, took 4 against Norwich at the weekend. One of those was successful. Also, obviously kept that clean sheet in Game Week 1 and had 10 recoveries, which was the most across the Liverpool team. He also had the best XGI of the Liverpool defenders in Game Week 1. When we have a little look at Trent versus Burnley historically, in the last 2 matches he's kept 2 clean sheets, and in fact over the last 4 matches Liverpool have kept 3 clean sheets out of the 4, and in the one game that there wasn't a clean sheet, Trent only played for 21 minutes of that match. So if he's played 90 minutes, Liverpool have always kept a clean sheet in the last 2 seasons that we've had. Burnley, when we have a think about what they did in Game Week 1, yes, they did score early on against Brighton in that game, and they did have plenty of other opportunities, but they didn't manage to convert those. That opening goal that they had could easily and probably would have been ruled out last season for a foul on Neil Maupay. I was actually surprised that goal stood, but it did. Maybe they were a little bit lucky to score a goal. Maybe Brighton were a little bit unlucky not to have kept a clean sheet in that game. Going into this one, I didn't see a lot from Burnley that suggests that they're going to go to Anfield in front of a home crowd, a full capacity home ground, for the first time since March 2019 and beat Liverpool. So I'm banking on a Trent Alexander clean sheet, and I also think that there's potential upside there too. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Trent register somewhere around the 9-10 point mark this weekend, and that's why I think he'll be the top point scoring defender in Game Week 1. Moving into midfield, obviously now I've used my Liverpool slot, so no space for Mo Salah in this video, and I'm going to go up to Manchester and Bruno Fernandes. Now Bruno Fernandes, of course, was incredible in Game Week 1. Obviously got the hat-trick, had a fantastic performance against Leeds at home. This is an away match, so of course Southampton will have their fans and it will be their first game at home this season, so that will give Southampton a boost. But I can also see that playing into the hands of Bruno Fernandes. He has 19 double-digit hauls in his 52 matches in the Premier League for Manchester United, including 17 points last season in Game Week 22 against Southampton in that 9-0 victory that Manchester United put on the last time that they visited St Mary's. He has never blanked versus Southampton, 17-point haul as I've just mentioned, a 10-point haul and 5 points. And in those games has got 2 goals, 4 assists, 3 bonus points and 1 clean sheet. So has a good record against Southampton regardless of whether they are playing at home or away. He has had 13 away games against non-Big Six clubs last season, and in those games he returned 12, 11, 17, 10, 6, 12, 5, 9, 10 and only failed to return in 4 games, but in 2 of those he still kept the clean sheet points. So it's actually only twice last season against non-Big Six sides away from home that Bruno Fernandes failed to return anything for his owners. I just don't see that happening in game week 2, given how well he played and how well Manchester United played in game week 1 against Leeds. Southampton have lost a number of key players during this transfer window. They don't look like they yet know who is their best players. We saw Carl Walker-Peters start on the bench for them in game week 1. I suspect we'll see some more changes for that Southampton side going into game week 2. And when we have a little look at Bruno Fernandes and the points that he averages away from home in the Premier League, he is averaging 8.78 points away from home in each match that he plays in the Premier League. So real positive looking returns there for Bruno Fernandes. He will be incredibly highly captained this game week. In fact, I currently have my captain's armband on Bruno Fernandes. It is a difficult call between him and Mo Salah, who's playing obviously at home. As I mentioned for Trent a minute ago, he's playing at home in game week 2 against Burnley. His record against Burnley is not anywhere near as good as Bruno Fernandes is against Southampton, and that's why I just think that Bruno has the potential to outscore Salah in game week 2. And finally, my forward of choice. Now, this one is a lot more difficult in terms of picking them because we had some really good forward performances in game week 1, particularly from the likes of Antonio and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. But this time around, I am going for the man himself, Danny Ings. Now, Danny Ings infuriated me during game week 1 as the non-Danny Ings owner. To see that penalty go in right at the end of extra time was a bit of a killer. 7-point haul for him last time around from nothing because didn't really have any other opportunities in that game. However, this is his first Premier League home match for Aston Villa. It'll be his home debut in front of the crowd. And he has really good Premier League record when we have a little look at his home form. Now, of course, it is a new stadium. We're yet to see whether what he did at Southampton transpires into what he's going to do at Aston Villa. But 41 goals, 13 assists, 78 bonus points, and 8 matches where he scored over 10 points at home for Southampton. If he can replicate that kind of home form for Aston Villa, that is going to bode really well for us as FPL managers. I think that he could be a really good pick this week. In the last 3 seasons, he has returned in every single game week 2, 7.6 points and 11 points. So has a history of starting well in the Premier League, actually good returns in the first opening few game weeks, which is exactly what we need from Danny Ings in these opening fixtures if we have invested in him. I also think that there's a real positive coming in midfield for Aston Villa because Leon Bailey came on, played for half an hour, and in that half an hour ended up 35th for threat in the ICT index, above a lot of the players that played for the entire 90 minutes of matches. With him starting, probably going to start hopefully in game week 2 alongside Buendia, hopefully with Ollie Watkins back also. That Aston Villa spearheading attack feels like it is suddenly up to full strength, and that will only benefit Danny Ings. We've already seen that his route to points is great because he's on penalties as we were expecting he would be, but until Aston Villa got that first penalty, you're never quite sure what's going to happen. But obviously he did take that first penalty, converted it, and therefore we would expect him to be on penalties moving forward for Aston Villa. I'm expecting good things from him against a Newcastle defence who looked shaky at best in game week 1. Obviously they've got some keeper issues there with their 2 main keepers out. That will have an impact, and that will make Danny Ings and the Aston Villa attack feel like their potential route to goals is increased because Newcastle aren't at full strength at the back. So those are my top picks for game week 2. In defence, Trent Alexander-Arnold. In midfield, Bruno Fernandes. And in attack, it's Danny Ings. Let me know in the comments below who you think are going to be the top point scorers in game week 2. Do you agree with me? Do you think it's going to be Trent? Do you think it's going to be Bruno? Do you think it's going to be Danny Ings? Or actually, are there better options out there? Are there players that you think are going to score more highly than those guys? Let me know in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you haven't already done so, please hit the subscribe button. We've now got over 20,000 subscribers on our channel, which is phenomenal, and we are so grateful to each and every one of you for subscribing, for liking our videos, for commenting, and for just joining in and being part of the FPL family. I'll see you on Sunday for our live stream at the end of game week 2. Thanks, guys.